welcome to Concert Pipeline. That's Jens Schippel.
And that is Steve Jones.
And Jens, today on the program, we have a band called Band of Silver. And I know the first thing that comes to your mind is Band of Silver. Where did they get that name? Where did that name come from, right? Well, I'll answer that question for you because I know it's on the tip of your tongue.
Please do. I mean, I'm probably way off, but when I think Band of Silver, I'm thinking like, hey, we live in California. We had the gold rush and there's all these silver towns and stuff. Like, what's the history here behind this band?
You're so close, and yet so far. I'm sorry, but Band of Silver, their name comes from the band is 3 siblings. They all have the same last name, fittingly, which is Silvernagel. And so I had the chance to talk to Avery, Alex, and Evan Silvernagel about their band, the formation, their new music that they're putting out, all of the good stuff. Band of Silver. So
see, makes sense. Totally makes sense, right?
You were right on though. Yes.
I think that would have been maybe, the next idea had they not all shared the same name, but they really wanted to have silver in their name. Maybe they would have made it sort of Californian like that, but hey, totally makes sense. Very logical.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the band, it's been a week, so we each have. I think it's been a little longer for you since you've been on the program. You missed a couple, but we're glad to have you back.
Yeah.
We've even putting out shows. We've had so much content recently, with Bottle Rock and other bands lined up that we've been putting out more than one a week some weeks, which is keeping us moving and shaking. I'll tell you that. And I know you're not always available, so
that's right. And Steve, I think that the most exciting thing about moving and shaking is when you actually do some moving and shaking. Would you like to demonstrate some of that moving and shaking?
This is as much moving and shaking as I get. So you don't any more than that, and it falls into the category of trying to dance, and that is not pretty. So no one wants to see that at any point. I don't have rhythm.
I was born with no rhythm. It was a tragedy. The doctor said, "Oh my God, you have a healthy baby boy, but he's got no rhythm. I mean, his heart beats, but he's never going to dance."
From the beginning. That's, I think, a lot of what brings us together, here as Pipeline Brothers, right? So
right. Exactly. Yeah. So Steve, thank you for showing off your moves. I knew that was a pretty big stretch for you right there. You were getting pretty down and dirty. But I do have a story. Yeah, I got a little bit of a story. I've got a little caveat. This is kind of gross. So if you're a bit squeamish, you might want to just forward to the interview.
Don't forward. You stick around. This is going to be a great story. I can't wait. So,
oh my God. Okay, so I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and visit my dad. So my dad lives up in Seattle, and I'm going to go see him, in December. But I wanted to see him before that too. He is in his early 80s, lives in a retirement home with his wife, and I'm going to go up there second week of October. So I was just FaceTiming him, right? And he was wearing this shirt that looked a little bit familiar, but it looked new. And for my dad, that's really, really weird because he is so frugal. He only wears stuff that he's owned for a really long time, all
of his attire. Yeah.
I know all of his attire because it was basically the same attire that he had when I was growing up, right? It's the same stuff that he had in the 80s.
Yeah.
And in the 70s. And, but this looked like an old piece, this garment, this piece of apparel looked like something he used to wear, but it looked just a little bit too new. So I had to ask him about it, right? So I said, is that a shirt or a jacket? That looks kind of familiar, but it looks kind of new. And he said, oh, well, I like this. It keeps me nice and warm and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think he was really able to remember. And then, and then I said, hey, you know what? Just, you're looking at the camera, just take your little collar, and go like this. Let me see the label. And he loves Eddie Bauer. So I figured, okay, it's probably Eddie Bauer or something. So he does this with a label, but there's no label there. And then he's like, okay, well, let me take it off, and I'm thinking, I wasn't that serious, right?
No.
You don't have to take this whole thing off. I mean, don't make it a big
important.
production, right?
Yeah.
So he takes it off, and then he finds somewhere along the sleeve or something, the tag, and it's, you know, a shirt from Arrow. But it had this really cool like liner in it. So it was kind of like a little, you know, button up lumberjack, Canadian lumberjack shirt, sweater jacket thing. And as he was examining it, he found this tiny little crawling bug, teeny tiny bug. And he's like, uh-oh. And he grabs it and he pinches it and all this blood comes out of it. And he's like, it looks like our bed bugs are back.
Oh no.
And I said, oh, are you kidding me? You have been battling with these bed bugs. And then he's so used to, you know, killing these damn things because he's been literally battling with these bed bugs ever since more or less COVID hit. And it's been like an ongoing thing. It's like on off, on off, on off, on off. And then he shows me his finger, right? There's a little bug with like blood everywhere. Like, oh, yeah. You know, I don't really need to see that. And then he finds another one on his shirt. And you know, we kind of go through the history again. It's like, okay, you've had this a bunch of times. The fumigators have been in there, right? They've sprayed everywhere. That worked for a very short time, but then they came back. Then
is this just his place, or is it the whole old folks home?
It's spotty. It's spotty, yeah. So they live in a retirement community, and there are a bunch of different buildings, and the building that he's in has like 5 floors in it. A lot of people that live there, but generally this isn't a problem. It's just for some reason it's been a problem lately. But they've never had this issue before, and generally most people in this facility don't have this problem. Then they brought in like the dog that can sniff the bed bugs. You know, it goes through the same training that the dogs that can smell, you know, bombs go through. And the dog found a couple of new places. You know, they got rid of that, solved the problem for a very short time, and then it came back. And then they decided on the heat. So, you know, so they brought in the special heating equipment and just heated the place to, I don't know, 100 and something degrees for a certain period of time. So the heat would kill them all. And that worked for a very short period of time until this FaceTime conversation that we just had, where he found them on the inside of his jacket. And I'm like, oh, this never ends. How do you get rid of this? I mean, my next suggestion was more or less burn down the building with fire, right?
Right, this is the best next option.
Yeah, I can't really do that though. And then I realized, oh shit, I'm going over to visit him in 2 weeks. What are the chances that I'm going to be bringing these bed bugs back?
Oh no, yeah.
into the house, and we're going to have the same damn problem here. So I don't know, Steve. I do not know what the answer is. Do you stay in his place
when you visit, or do you stay somewhere else?
Traditionally, I usually always stay at his place. He's got a guest bedroom.
Maybe we'll have to break tradition this time. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe not enter the building. Yeah. Maybe, you know, do like a visit in a safe space, like in a park, maybe at a tennis court, and we'll be on opposite sides of the net. You know,
this is a good opportunity to enable COVID rules, by the way.
So exactly, COVID rules would be perfect. COVID rules would be perfect, and we're just dealing with bed bugs. I don't know if this is lots of glare
here. Okay.
Basically, this is just some shot on the internet with lots of, I mean, these things are tiny. They look big in this picture, but they are so small. They're really, really hard to see. Anyway, I also wanted to say, don't you love my
the line on your screen? Yes.
The line on my phone. So this is a feature. It's not a bug. It's not a defect. No. This is a feature. My phone, I paid extra money for this, has a green and pink line, and they're so close together that they blend beautifully. It used to just be green.
Oh, and then it transformed, and it's expanded. I like it.
I'm just hoping it's going to last another couple of weeks until I get my next discount on the phone. So,
oh boy, it'll make it. I'm sure.
Yeah. So when I see you when I come back from Seattle, Steve, I might be infected or infested. I guess is the word.
Well, you stay away from me then. Well, COVID rules in place for sure. So.
Right.
Yeah. Well.
So I was going to ask you, Steve, if you can pick me up from the airport, and then maybe I can sleep on your couch.
Not with bed bugs. Not with bed bugs. You're not bringing that shit in my house. You can absolutely stay in my garage. Yeah.
What kind of friend are you?
Oh, the kind that will open his garage to you anytime. Okay, so yeah, not bringing that shit to my house. I'll tell you that. So, but
that's my ghost story.
But I will pair your parent story with one of my own, which, you know, sometimes we have these stories and we, you know, we're like, that's got to save it for the pod, And this is one where it's like, I got a good story for the pod. And I was like, oh shit, I already told you, you know, but I'll share it anyway, because it's just so damn enjoyable. But so I was in a meeting the other day and my mom had picked up my daughter from school because I didn't have time to between the meeting and another appointment that I had for my son, right? And so she was helpful and she picked up my daughter. They showed up 2 minutes before my meeting started. I'm in my meeting, and then my daughter comes over to me while I'm in my meeting presenting, and shows, hey, look what grandma gave me. Look what I got. I'm like, I can't right now. I'm in, you know, I'm in a meeting. Leave me alone, right? And so then I see it later. Right. And it's this little mini fridge, a tiny mini fridge that can hold a couple water bottles or something, not a lot. Right.
Right.
And it's a Pepsi fridge. And later I find out that my mom, my daughter's grandmother, charged her $30 for this mini fridge, tucked down from $40, which she had asked for, and took $30 of my daughter's money for this fridge that I'm sure she didn't pay more than $5 for it at a garage sale or something. Because I know my mom. This is what my mom does, right? I mean, not typically charging my daughter for things, but petty like that to a degree as well. And I look it up on Amazon. It's $29 on Amazon, and you know, and so my daughter got ripped off by her grandmother. Was not too pleased about it. You know, really wanted a mini fridge because I think she's probably saw it in the back of my mom's car or something, and was like, okay. And my mom's probably like $40, and you know, and I guess she was going to sell it or something. I don't know what she's doing, but dude, I was like, yeah,
I've got no words. Like, I don't even know what to say to that. You know, when you first told me the story, I'm like, was she confused about how much it was, and she wasn't trying to actually make a profit off of a little kid?
She's trying to make a profit. And what's interesting, it's not like she needs the money or whatever, but it's the same sort of thing. Like, my mom took a trip with my daughter, I don't know, a month and a half ago, a weekend trip to, I think, Pismo Beach or something. And my mom to me, while I had her on speakerphone while we were on the phone beforehand or something. And she was like, you know, send your daughter with $20 in case she wants to buy anything. And my daughter in the background is like, I don't want to, you know, and she wanted to save her money or whatever, right? Wasn't interested. Right. And then my mom was like, okay, why don't you give me $20 for food for this trip that she planned and everything. It's not like she's asking for payment for the hotel, but it just had to be that. I don't know why she needed that $20 in that moment.
She needed $20 for something.
But I'm like, no. I'm like, this is your trip. Like, if it was different, if she was like, hey, can you help me with this? Or like an advance sort of thing, like, we could have talked. But just immediately after, my daughter was like, I don't want to bring $20 for this, you know, sort of thing. She comes to me for the same exact amount of money. It's just weird, man.
Yeah, you know? That's weird, man. I mean, when I was a kid, $20 was a lot of money. I don't know what it's like for kids these days. Is that a lot of money or not?
I give my daughter $10 a week allowance. 5 of it goes to savings, and 5 of it she can do whatever she wants, save it until she's ready to buy something, whatever, right? But 5 of it will go to savings, and then we'll transfer that to her savings account eventually when a stack of it adds up or whatever, right? Right. So that's what I give. And I mean, we talked about her mom doing the same thing at their house. I don't think she does, or she doesn't do it consistently, probably. But I went to the bank and I got a stack of 5, so I make sure that I do it most weeks at least. That I remember. I'm pretty consistent overall. So that's what she gets. So $30 is 6 weeks of her allowance, you know, which is nothing. On this little fridge that she just she got duped, and you know,
I kept on trying to think about this in different ways. Sorry to didn't mean to cut you off, but as like a parent, I was trying to step into her shoes. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I was trying to step into her grandparent shoes, I guess is what
you're not a grandparent either.
No, I'm not a grandparent either. Right. And I'm like, is she trying to teach her a learning opportunity, a learning lesson? Like she knows that your daughter gets allowance, right? So your daughter obviously knows, how long it takes to save up a certain amount of money. So was this kind of, it's like a test? This is how my brain was working. Like, okay, so was her grandmother trying to kind of test her to see if it was worth $40, saving up $40, weeks and weeks of saving $40 to buy this mini Pepsi fridge? Like, was that worth it to her? Like, and I'm thinking that, she was hoping that your daughter would say, no, that's not worth it. But she said yes, right? I mean, there was a little bit of haggling to $30. And then
Right.
that was the sale price, right? So then I'm wondering, okay, maybe that was like a lesson in how to spend your finances, because now she's got this thing for $30 and she doesn't have the $30, so was it really worth it? But I don't think
there's not that much thought.
I don't think that was it. I think she just needed the $40, and she was
bummed
that she didn't get $40, and now she's stuck with $30, and it's just still trying to figure out how to get the extra $10.
So I call my mom and I'm like, "You're taking advantage of an 11-year-old. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Give her her money back," and she's like, "Oh, I wasn't going to keep it," but she did. It's in her, and whatever. And so the next time
she's totally going to keep it.
Over. She's like, "The money's in my car. It'll be there till she, till she's there next or whatever." But it's just like, come on, give her $40 back. You owe her more than that because we're taking advantage of an 11-year-old, right?
And you had to bust her balls, right? It's not like she was like,
no,
okay,
no, she didn't.
Lesson is over. Here's your money back.
Yeah, Jaeger's like coming at me. He's like,
yeah. My dog eats people. I didn't tell you that. Yeah, my little dog he's really a gremlin. Don't get him wet because he will bite your head off.
Replicate. Yeah.
We've lost more friends that way. So.
Well, a couple of good parent stories. Thank you, Jens. I think we should bring our guest in now. Like I said, Band of Silver. We had Avery, Alex, and Evan, and had a good chat with them. We had a fun time. So let's go ahead and let's bring them in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, welcome, Avery, Alex, and Evan. I want to start by asking you guys how you have been holding up for the past year and a half. How has it treated you? What has your experience been like through everything that we've been going through?
We've tried to make the most of the downtime that we've had. We went out to LA and did a lot of writing, and so we got pretty much like all of our 2021 songs written in 2020 as like the world was shut down and stuff like that. And then we've just been trying to focus a lot on doing things digitally and getting our name out there on social media and Spotify and stuff like that instead of doing live shows. But now that live shows have opened back up, we're on tour. We're currently in Little Rock, Arkansas, waiting to play live tomorrow. So that's really exciting. Yeah.
Nice. So you're excited about the tour. Tell me about what you have planned with the tour.
We've got 3 dates this week. So we'll play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Today is Thursday, so that's tomorrow, and the next 2 days after that. And then in October, we have, I think, 9 more dates, and that's going to be from October 16th to later October. I think the ending is October 27th. And all of that is with Dick Miller and Fly By Midnight.
Yeah, so how'd you get set up with that tour?
I think it was through our booking agent. She's working as our booking agent and manager. Her name's Eva, and she does an awesome job. So, yeah.
Yeah. So going through quarantine, what did you learn about yourself, or what did you kind of take away from that experience so far?
Personal interactions are very important. I was really trying to kind of put myself out there more and go meet people and stuff before the quarantine, and then the quarantine happened, and obviously that got shut down pretty quickly. Couldn't go out to bars or a lot of social areas, and so we've been doing a lot more hanging out with kind of the friends that we had initially, like going into that, and we've just kind of strengthened our bond with them, I guess. Yeah,
makes sense. So let's talk about kind of growing up. I mean, tell me about the music that was in your household when you all were kids, and Alex and Evan, feel free to jump in too.
Okay. Yeah, I think Alex can get this one.
When I kind of like the first kind of memories of like music were like we took like karate class when we were younger, and like our dad would drive to that. The rest of that, and in the car he played a lot of like stuff from the 80s, like a lot of Billy Idol. He was playing like White Wedding, like Dancing with Myself, stuff like that. And I remember he would turn on the radio occasionally. I remember Fireflies by Owl City was like on there. And so
you remember when that came out?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going to karate class with him, but I don't remember listening to music in the car. I remember our dad playing the same stuff whenever he would take me to school. And they were homeschooled, so they, I guess, didn't get as much of that experience.
Yeah, but I guess growing up we listened to like a lot of like 80s rock, if you like.
And that's definitely influenced our sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you all took karate together?
Evan didn't, but Avery and I did.
Did you?
I've taken it at some point.
But I don't think he
remember
went to it
them.
regularly.
Yeah, he wasn't as regular with it. Alex and I were karate kids, I guess.
Did you enjoy that? I took a couple years of karate growing up and different types and everything, and it gives you a little bit of discipline, right?
Yeah, it definitely gave us a lot of discipline. I really enjoyed it. The dojo got shut down, and that was when I was like in third or fourth grade. Like I was really young, and then I ended up taking
I was in third grade when
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess I was in fifth grade then. But anyways, I ended up taking it again in high school, and I loved it. It was my favorite time of the day was getting to go to martial arts, and I really enjoy knowing how to defend myself if I was ever to get in a bad situation, and then also just hitting stuff is a lot of fun for whatever reason. I'm not typically a violent person, but that's just a really good way to just like calm yourself down and get exercise.
That's what my chiropractor has his kids do. Is there if they're like salty or something, he just tells them, "Okay, we'll go hit the back for 10 minutes." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, we'll make it 11 minutes then."
It works so well though.
It's definitely a good outlet. And Evan, you started playing the drums really young, right?
I started playing piano. When did I take?
When you got homeschooled, like first grade, I guess.
Yeah, so I've been playing piano since I was in first grade, but I never really liked piano. So I made a deal with my mom that if I took up drums, I would be able to drop piano, and I ended up liking drums a lot. And that was when I was like 11 or 12 or something about. So I've been playing it for quite a while. But
and did you? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's just I didn't like piano, but it was the drum thing ended up working out.
Yeah. So your parents were cool enough to let you have a drum kit like in the garage or what have you. That's a loud one to, for.
It was
Yeah.
It was in a. Did it start in the room downstairs or was it upstairs first?
Yeah, it was downstairs first.
It was downstairs. Yeah, it was
I don't think they realized how loud it was either.
Yeah, we had a room that was just kind of the room that we had like our toys in and stuff, and this was like as we got older, and it was just kind of adapting, and then we put the drum kit in there, and it was just kind of accepted that when he was practicing, it was going to be very loud.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of parents that would trade the piano for a drum kit willingly, right? So that's very accepting. Did your parents play music then? Were they musically inclined themselves, or?
Well, not really.
My dad played like violin pretty well when he was
when he was younger, yeah. But our mom was when he was growing up, she would pick up an instrument like a guitar, and then he'd pick it up with her, and then she'd realize that she didn't have time for that, and then pick up like keyboard later, and then he would pick it up and then just not drop the instruments that she played. And they also wanted to make sure that if we were learning instruments, they would be something that we could like do as a career if we wanted to, if that was like our passion or whatever. So they thought that drums and guitar and keyboard were all pretty marketable skills.
Yeah, and Alex, you're primarily guitar, but I mean, you play a number of other instruments too. Like, tell me about your process for picking up other instruments.
Well, with keyboard, my mom also took keyboard, so I was just like, well, I'll try it. And then I feel like that was probably my second best instrument. And with drums, I guess maybe I forgot what I took drums, but I ended up enjoying it. A lot of this, I ended up getting like a lot of practice with this because when I was in like middle school, there was the music school I was with. They were like they put like bands together, and I was in like 3 of them. And so I had like one where I was like the guitarist, one where I was the bassist, and I would occasionally do keyboard for that. And I had one where I was a drummer, so I could just I got a lot of practice doing that, and that was also really nice as well because like other kids would suggest songs, so I got to like get a lot more musical influence from that.
Yeah, what songs did you like playing back in those early days?
I feel like Jumpin' Jack Flash was like the one that got me like into like music,
Yeah.
because I was like I didn't really have like work ethic back then, but like that was kind of like the first song I like played with like a band, and then like that was I really enjoyed it like then. But yeah, we were playing like some Stones stuff. We played Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we did that one quite a bit.
And that Nirvana song.
Come As You Are. But that was later on. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Avery, you kind of picked up music a little bit later in the process, right? You found kind of your voice a little bit later. Tell me about that process for you.
Yeah, so they were homeschooled, as I mentioned before, and so they had more time than I did going to like mainstream schooling and just being loaded with homework at night. And then eventually I decided that I was going to be homeschooled also, because I had just given up on doing so much homework. I was like, you know what, I might as well just like drop out and do like the homeschool route. And so I ended up having more time, and around that time also they had picked up songwriting as one of the classes that they were taking, and they were really good at coming up with instrumental arrangements, but they weren't super great at lyrics. And the main class that I had dropped out of school for was the English class that I was in, and it made me into a really good writer, but I hated it. And then I was like, well, you know what, I could try to help them come up with lyrics. And so that's just how it kind of started. And so since I was writing the lyrics, I also wanted to be able to kind of sing what was in my head going on with like the melodies and the timing and stuff like that. And so I ended up just having to start taking some vocal lessons and become a good singer to do that.
Yeah, and so tell me about, I mean, kind of your lyrics as you go into writing a song. I know it feels like some of the songs are like you're writing through a character of sorts. I mean, are others more personal to you than?
Yeah, a lot of our songs are pretty personal. Like Always is about kind of going through some health issues. Closure is about a boyfriend that I had. What's the one? Looking for a Friend. That one was about what I was doing before the pandemic, going out and meeting people and stuff like that. Stuff like Mr. Morse, which is our most recent release, is a character. And then there are some others that are a little bit kind of, I came up with on the spot. But I guess the typical writing process is either I'm inspired by something and I just write down whatever comes to my head, or I'll be writing with Alex and our producer or another songwriter or whatever, and I'll hear the track and kind of think what the track sounds like to me, and then kind of write lyrics around that.
Yeah, and so and this might be more for Alex, but I'm kind of curious of the homeschooling experience and the creation of bands. Like, how long were you homeschooled, and how did you kind of meet other kids to start bands with?
I was homeschooled since I was like in third grade, and so I was taking guitar lessons at then it eventually got shut down, but the place was called Gene Ford Music. Well, it didn't get shut down, but it got turned into a studio. Yeah, it got
Skylar bought it out.
Skylar bought it, and it's a studio.
But it's still, oh, it's a studio now?
Yeah.
Oh.
You didn't know?
I didn't realize that. I just thought he had taken it over. Oh. Okay, never mind.
But basically, they had a rock band program, and you could basically sign up for it and just say, I want to be a guitarist, and they would put you with like a kind of whoever else was looking for a band, or like they would get like a bassist or like a drummer or like singer, things like that. And I met a lot of people through that.
So yeah, it was a program where they taught every instrument that you could play, and so they had a bunch of their own students, and they would just pair students up with each other into this rock band program. Because if you're a drummer, you can't really do a recital by yourself. I mean, you could, but it would be kind of weird. And so it was better to like pair them up with like other instruments that would pair well together.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about the scene, kind of growing up in Nashville. Did you guys get out to concerts, or are there bands that you'd like to see, coming through?
Yeah, there have been a lot of really awesome concerts that have come through Nashville. We've seen Linkin Park, Imagine Dragons, Panic at the Disco, Weezer, Fall Out Boy, like any others.
We saw, but I can't think of their name. Who were Pumped Up Kicks?
Oh, Foster the People.
Yeah, Foster the People.
Yeah. And so that was really neat. If I could see people now, Gorillas.
Oh yeah,
Gorillas.
Gorillas would be so cool.
I will always see Panic at the Disco if they come through town. I just really like their music. And then recently we've gotten into a little bit of K-pop, and so like aespa is this group that's they have like digital avatars also, and I think that would be a really cool show. And then Everglow, I really like their music. And then obviously if BTS came in, it would be like an event, and I would like to just see what goes on at one of their concerts. I think it would be really cool.
Yeah. Have you guys, I mean, pre-pandemic, been able to tour at any point? What's the farthest your tour has taken you?
The furthest, I guess, would be Wisconsin. Well, no, not Wisconsin. I don't know. I think
like the furthest away.
The furthest away from our
house. Then it was like New York. Or
yeah, I guess New York would probably be. This tour will end up taking us the furthest, I think. So we'll be like pretty far west, like Seattle and Portland and stuff like that. So a pretty good trek. But the previous tour that we've done, there was one that went across the East Coast, and there was one that went to Chicago, Texas, and then some of like the southern states.
Makes sense. Yeah. And so tell me how you guys kind of landed on Band of Silver. How did you guys decide to, you know what, we all have this musical, passion. We should start a band together.
I think that was when I joined them for songwriting, and we started coming up with our own stuff, and we thought, this is really cool. This is stuff that we would like to share with the world.
I thought it was the name.
Oh, the name, yeah. We're the Silvernagels, and so we took silver from that. And
that's how we had the name. our original name was Silver Linings, and then there was a marching band in Sweden that had that copyrighted. Even though the United States government gave us the patent for it, but they had gotten some legal advice saying not to do it because the Swedish band owned the patent for that. So then we had to change our name. So then Band of Silver was weekend.
We didn't want any beef with the marching band.
don't want to start things over there, right? So
no, they seem pretty chill. So better not to rock the boat. Yeah.
So I want to ask you about some of your videos. Artificial Intelligence. That's an animated video. Tell me about kind of the style of that and kind of where that came from.
We've been working with with this group called Layrat Studios, and I think they're in Costa Rica, or they might ship it out to other people, but they are super talented animators, and they've done, they did that video, they did artificial intelligence, they did Are We or Not is what I was trying to say, and they did Caught in the Headlights. So all of those are animated by them. I think they've used different groups of animators for each project, but they've done a really good job, and they've been just really good to work with. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, and the song itself, and my understanding is it's like a disingenuous intellect is kind of the theme of the song. Tell me kind of the perspective you went into creating that song.
I guess really just at the time, I kind of knew people that how do you put it? Either they were just getting hyped up to be the greatest of all time, or they thought they were the greatest of all time, but it's they either they weren't, or they were just really shallow about it, or something. And then I just kind of put that song together about it.
Yeah, that one was written a while ago though.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But what? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah. So your other videos. Let me take a look at which other one I wanted to kind of bring up. Here for a Good Time. That's that was like a party scene. Tell me about the creation of that and how that came about.
So the premise of the song was I was trying to recreate something from the 80s, kind of in a Def Leppard kind of vibe. So the original producer we took it to was Mitch Marlowe, and then we took it to Mike Green after that because we needed some songwriting help with that initially, and then so Mitch helped us with that, and then we kind of wanted to add it to the album, so we kind of finished the demo with Mike, and then he kind of said that we had created pretty much an exact replica of something out of the 80s, but it was kind of dissimilar to some of our other stuff, so we altered it a bit, and it's still it has an 80s vibe, I think, but not nearly to the same extent as it used to. So but basically we kind of took inspiration from bands like Bon Jovi. They wrote It's My Life, and they had, have you seen the It's My Life video?
Oh yeah. It's been a while. It's been a while. I haven't checked back on it in a while, but yeah,
there were a couple of videos like that, but the where they're underneath the little arch thing, and there's
they're in an underground tunnel kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe that we kind of asked for the video, was a big kind of underground party type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tell me about working with Mike Green. Like, I mean, he's produced a bunch of your recent songs. Like, what was the dynamic working with Mike?
We started songwriting with him back in 2019, and we realized that he just really got our sound. Like, he picked it up really quickly, and we initially did 3 days of writing with him, and we've got 4 songs done in that amount of time. And we just really liked working with him, and so we decided to take all our songs to him to get produced.
Yeah, and what did he bring to it that, like, you brought the songs in, and like, kind of what did he pull out of you guys to make those songs?
I mean, I feel like it was kind of, actually, I don't know.
I think for me, writing the lyrics especially, he's really big on like getting the melody right. Like the cadence needs to be on. The pitches need to be like correct. Like it's not this note, it's this note. So things like that, just being really professional about that.
He was
kind of
really
stuff.
good at looking at like really fine details.
Yeah, and making sure that Alex is playing the solo. We have a take where it's just really clean.
Yeah, but it's like it would be like every single note would be like, and so there'd be like a take within like 30 notes or something like that, and be like, well, this is this one that we need to do over. But then the ending product is always like really good.
But then he's also really creative and really good at letting us kind of come up with the ideas that we want and kind of get them down. But then he takes it and kind of refines it and adds in really cool sounds. Like he has a million plugins that he can use. So like if we're looking for like a xylophone with reverb and distortion, he probably has a plugin that sounds something like that. And so he's really good at just finding that kind of stuff and adding just bells and whistles that we might not think of to the song.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex, you got a new guitar recently, right?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah. Tell me about that. How do you like it?
I think it's really cool. So you know the song "Shot in the Dark" by Ozzy Osbourne?
Yeah.
I initially thought you required a Floyd Rose to be able to play that. Then I looked it up on the internet. You actually don't after I got the guitar, but I think it's nice to have a Floyd Rose anyways, because like there's some like Steve Vai stuff that you can do with like it. Mainly, I just wanted to be able to like bend the whammy bar, directing the pitch up rather than down, but still also down. But I mainly just wanted a Floyd Rose, and we were looking at several different kind of like Floyd Rose models, mainly from like Plurry Smith, and I was going to get it custom made, but they were back ordered like 2 years or something like that. So my mom found this one on like eBay or something like that, and then I just thought we would pick it up.
Pretty nice. And Avery, I saw a video of you in these really high platforms. Are you going to be bringing those out on stage?
Oh, the really high platform shoes are like a Oh, probably not. I've got a pair of boots that's pretty walkable. Yeah, we've got a chest that's called it's a decorative riser basically, and I was planning to use that, and I did not want to twist my ankle on that. The high platform shoes are really nice for videos and stuff like that, but performing and like standing around a venue for like extended periods of time, I'd rather have something that's a little bit more comfortable. But I do like my high platform shoes. They're really cool.
Yeah, really fun. What are you looking forward to most in terms of the tour? Is there a particular location you're looking forward to going to and visiting?
Not really. I just think playing live is going to be so much fun, and also getting to meet people. We really like working at the merch booth and like getting to interact with fans and like kind of introduce them to like our music and stuff like that, and see their reactions to the set. And that's one of my favorite parts. But obviously, like the adrenaline rush that you get from being on stage and singing and stuff like that is also a lot of fun.
Yeah, very cool. And tell me about the experience of writing and recording in LA for your Always EP. What was that like for you guys coming out to the West Coast to do that?
We had to fly. I didn't really like.
Oh my gosh!
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Well, it was different because it was our first time recording with a producer. Like we had done some studio work before, but Alex was typically the one who produced it, and so it was neat getting to have somebody like go through and like really make sure that our songs were sounding like as polished and cool as they could. And so that was totally different. They brought a lot of different ideas to the table that we hadn't had before. Like for the title track Always, we had that song for a really long time, and we thought it sounded really good, but he had the idea to add like a string section to it, and I think that really kind of improved the song overall. And so just little things like that on all the tracks that just adds up and makes all the songs just sound like as good as they can, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, did you do anything else fun in LA while you were in the area?
We drove out to Malibu, and seeing the mountains was really nice. And then
we went to the beach one time.
That was Malibu Beach.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
And then I went to a thrift shop and got some cool pants for my friend because and like and then we did the Walk of Fame. I also got some cool clothes there that were surprisingly cheap but very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And are you continuing to write for a new release? Are you looking that far at this point? What does that look like for you?
We've got our 2022 pretty much planned out, like our songs. We know what songs we're gonna release then, and then we are working to get in with more writers kind of later this year, probably after like the tour has died down and stuff like that.
Yeah. Very cool. And one last question: when you're on tour, you're in the van, you're driving across. Who's in charge of the radio? What do you guys watch or listen to?
We usually use earbuds.
Yeah, we use earbuds.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. We've watched a lot of anime on tours before. Especially like we used to have there was somebody else in the band originally, and he was like super into anime, so we watched like Steins Gate, My Hero Academia. What was the one that you really liked? Future Diary, and like a bunch of stuff like that. Just so much anime. But if we haven't turned on anything yet, but our van does have a TV that we could use, and so we'll figure something out for that. But it probably will be anime.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, thank you three for taking the time today. I appreciate it, and congratulations on the new EP and the tour, and for all that you have planned for 2022. I'm sure it's going to be a really fun year ahead, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, thanks for having us.
Thank
we
you
really
for having
appreciate
us
it.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Hey, absolutely. Cool. All right, you guys have a good one. Okay.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. That was the interview with Band of Silver here on Concert Pipeline. And Jens, that takes us to the final segment on the program. What is it?
Well, it's time to discuss some music news, Steve. Our segment where we talk about what's going on in the music industry.
That is right. We each have a couple of stories for you, what's going on in the world of music. And I'll start out here today, Jens, with a story about Guns N' Roses. Yes, who I just saw at Bottle Rock just a few weeks back. Check out Concert Pipeline's YouTube page for video from that show, including their song with Dave Grohl came out in the encore and did Paradise City with them. And that video has done very well, over 400,000 views at this point. So very cool.
That's killer.
Yes, and I'll tell you, like everybody's got a voice in the comments on that video. By the way, he's got a lot of comparisons to Mickey Mouse in Axl Rose's voice. Not everybody agrees he's held up. But
yeah, I'm assuming they're talking about his voice and not his ears.
Right. Yeah. Well, he was there. He showed up. He was on time, and they rocked out. What more can you want from the guy, right?
That's right. And they played on even when the power to their mics were shut off.
Yes. And he threw his mic into the crowd, which is pretty baller. So I've only seen that one other time.
Sweet. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw Trey Cool, the drummer for Green Day, do that once. He popped the battery out of the wireless mic and threw the mic in the crowd, which is pretty cool. So it's a cool move. I mean, imagine getting that, that microphone, Axl's microphone, and just you have Axl's microphone then, right? So
yeah, you got Axl, and you know what? You better not ever clean it or touch it. You want every single piece of, spit, snot, whatever is on that thing to be preserved.
I I can't get a new receiver and then use that as my concert pipeline microphone. Is that what you're saying? No,
Dude, you just got to bottle up that thing and put it on a shelf.
I know. Yeah, you preserve it. It's pretty. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, they have announced a new 4-song EP called Hard School. School with a K.
Nice.
Yeah, and it features Axl Rose, Slash, and Duff McKagan. It's the first new record featuring them in 28 years, Jens.
Whoa.
Holy hell, I want to tell you that
28 years?
I was 10 years old the last time they put out music together.
Holy shit, 28 years. That's crazy. I knew time flies by, but that is a measure of like, what the fuck, dude?
Right. And so they released the title track. It arrives on February 25th. It's gonna, let's see here. Slash and McKagan rejoined the band back in 2016. They've been together for like 5 years now. It's crazy because like I know they've done a couple of tours and I haven't caught them. You did before, but so this was my first time seeing them since the reunion in 5 years ago. But it's the first time after leaving their 1993 studio album, The Spaghetti Incident. So they released the title track. It's going to include their August single, Absurd, written during their Chinese Democracy sessions. I didn't think the rest of the guys were there for that period, which is interesting that they're pulling stuff from that, but okay. And live renditions of 90s track Don't Cry and You're Crazy from their debut album. So it's not all new. It's not all new music. It's actually, most of it is pretty dated, I would say.
But hey, it's going to be a new album with a new release date, and we can say that they've come together to produce this, publish it.
Yeah, back in 2019, McKagan indicated a new album was on the way, but he said they like to keep a sense of mystery. He said, there's never been a direct schedule on how we do things. I've heard some magnificent stuff that Axl has, really cool stuff he's been working on. So I'm excited about the possibilities of that, of course. The album is real, but the fun part is, the cool part about Guns N' Roses is we don't really talk about it. What happens next just happens. And they apparently performed Hard School for the first time this past weekend in Baltimore. Good stuff, new stuff from Guns N' Roses.
Have we listened to that?
I don't think we have. I mean, I guess it's on Apple Music, right?
Trying to remember if we've listened to that. Yeah, I know. I think we've talked about it before. And I was listening to one of these videos on YouTube that somebody put together of Axl Rose's concert performances over the years, right? Where he had his signature voice back in the day, up to his very latest stuff, and it was the same song basically. Snippets of the same song recorded throughout the years over and over and over again in this video, just to give you the idea of how his voice has changed over time, right? And it's really interesting to see that stuff, because there you are in the crowd like Axl, woohoo, blah, blah, blah. But when you really when you're analytical, using your analytical ear, it's like, shit, man, I feel bad for this guy. He just doesn't have it like he used to. Yeah.
No, but here's a little bit of Hard School. I don't know.
You think that's his natural voice, or did they enhance it somehow?
I don't think that's enhanced. That does not sound good to me. I don't know.
Well, maybe it was worse, and that's as good as it gets.
It's what you get. You don't ask for more, Guns N' Roses. Yeah.
I thought like auto-tune or whatever that stuff is, makes anybody sound like a rock
fix
star.
Anybody. Not Axl. Ooh, yeah. Enjoy that.
Sorry, Axl, man.
Yeah. You got a story for us, Jens?
I still would go to another Guns N' Roses concert.
Oh, I'd see him again live. Oh, it was enjoyable. I had fun, but quality
the energy, man.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man.
Okay, so I got a story about a convict. And what the F is going to happen to his music. So, of course, we're talking about R. Kelly, who was convicted. So the question is, what happens to his music on streaming platforms? Let's find out. So back in 2018, Spotify removed R. Kelly's music from its official playlists. The biggest music streaming app in America said it wanted its editorial decisions, what we choose to program, to reflect our values.
They're getting, and it's not political, but it's
yeah, and that makes sense. I guess that makes sense.
They're separating themselves from some artists like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. They want to put out the idea that they're not supporting this guy's music because of his behavior.
Yeah.
So then 3 years later, Kelly's tracks are still absent from Spotify's influential curated packages, but the disgraceful superstar's full discography was still available on the service's app as of Tuesday morning, the day after he was found guilty on all counts for in a sex trafficking trial.
Yeah, he got busted.
He got busted for sex trafficking. And I just want to ask you, Steve, how was your quick trip to the loo?
I'm getting some beer, and I'm going to bring you the other half of this.
Oh no shit, dude! I thought you went to the loo. I thought you pulled again. You're like, oh, okay, this guy's going to tell a story, and I'm just going to run and pee real quick. And by the time he's done, I'll be back.
You're like, yes. So you keep telling the story.
All right, here he goes. Now he's really going to the bathroom. Put the lid down, man. Okay, so Kelly's music was also easily accessible on Spotify's major competitors, including Apple Music, Amazon Music, and the Google-owned provider YouTube Music. In the wake of Monday's verdict, oh, hey, Steve, you're back.
I am, and you have a beer just to your left.
Did you go to the loo? Holy shit, dude, thanks.
Look at that.
Did not even see you. I was so concentrated on presenting this amazing story to the crowd, but thank you. I've got spontaneous surprise beer. All right. What was I talking about? Okay. R. Kelly.
Talking about R. Kelly.
All right, motherfucker. All right. So in the wake of Monday's verdict, some on social media redoubled their efforts to push the major music streaming services to push them to pull Kelly's discography, arguing in part that it was wrong to provide a global platform and possibly royalty revenues to a convicted serial sexual predator. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and YouTube did not immediately respond to questions Tuesday about what they plan to do with Kelly's music library and what criteria they might consider for removing the entirety of an artist's work.
It's time to say goodbye, right? He can just fly right away. He believes he can fly. He can just fly right on to prison. He's done. He's gone.
Yeah. Seriously, like Kelly, 54, was trailed by troubling accusations of sexual misconduct and abuse for decades, even as he climbed the Billboard charts. He won a Grammy. He won Grammy Awards and entered the R&B blah, 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 blah. Yeah, exactly. Just like you said with the smash hits, like, I believe I can fly. You know what? I agree with you. Like, you can fly into the hole that he's going to be in. But it brings up a great point. I mean, there are people in history that have contributed, to the greater good in just amazing ways. But when you look at their, personal behavior, they're pieces of shit. They're pieces of shit.
Cosby and,
Right. That's a great
Spacey
example.
and yeah.
Exactly. Like, I remember when I grew up, I loved, this was before that Bill Cosby show thing. He had his comedy that you could buy on like vinyl or cassette tape or something. And that shit was funny. Like, his really early stuff. It was so simple, so clean, so funny. It was great comedy, but now, so much later, would you pull that stuff off the shelf? Because of his behavior?
Tough, because you can't separate it, right?
You can't separate it, right? It's brilliant stuff. It's generally freaking hilarious, and it should be shared because it's got talent written all over it. But yeah, I don't know.
I know there are a lot of comedians who struggle with that too, because they looked up to him, and he was. I mean, he definitely paved the way in a lot of senses. But but he was doing more than just paving the way. He was paving other things as well. And, and it wasn't, oh God, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
We're fast forwarding to the next thing.
Is it fast forwarding or is it forward fast?
It's forward winding. Forward winding.
Yes. Forward winding. Yes. Okay, good. We'll forward wind to my next story, Jens, which is about Metallica.
Yes.
Last week on the program, I shared how they played this really intimate show in San Francisco, $20 tickets, and they played at the Independent.
Right?
Incredible to see, right? I watched some videos and it was just like the sound was so blown out because they were rocking the fucking house down. You couldn't even, but you just to be there, it would have been incredible. But it's one of those things, no one's getting in, right? So,
right, I know. It's one of those things that if you were lucky enough to go, you go.
You got to
right. If you're lucky enough to get a ticket, you go, and you just know it's going to be one of those timeless experiences. I mean, that's like the time period you want to catch a band before they make it big, right?
Yeah.
Before they can fill a stadium, they fill a tiny little venue like the Independent.
Yeah, and I've seen some shows like I've seen Fun. I mean, a band that I was a fan of Nate Roos and his music, lead singer of Fun.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them, a lot, and I followed his former band, The Format. So I followed his career, and I saw them at a tiny club in like Sacramento that holds like 100 people, sort of thing, And I saw The Format at that same place. But so seeing them before they exploded, and then he disappeared off the face of the earth after that. But the closest thing I have is, I saw Green Day at the Warfield, where tickets went like that. After like 2 weeks after they played ATT Park, and they played the Warfield, where they opened for themselves as the Network, their side band sort of things, and that show was incredible. I mean, but so I've been to a couple of shows where you're just like, oh, this is the coolest thing, right? But but that would have been freaking cool. I know, like Foo Fighters have played Slims before, and it's just like something like that. It's just like too cool. Well, Metallica performed the Black Album at Louder Than Life Festival, and so that's their 1991 record. And they performed it in its entirety during a September 26th appearance at the Louder Than Life Festival in Louisville, Kentucky, and fan film video has been shared online, of course. They opened the show with 2016's Hardwired and a pair of classic tracks. They launched into full version of the album in reverse order, beginning with the rarely played The Struggle Within and My Friend of Misery, and eventually closed with the regular set with Enter Sandman before returning for encores. And so that was their second appearance during the weekend event, and it's just weeks after they released their 30th anniversary reissue of Metallica, which helped it return to the US top 10 charts for the first time in 3 decades. So you can check that out if you want to see live video of that, but also something really cool. They're getting out there and doing cool stuff right now.
That's awesome, man. I'll never forget how we saw them live doing an acoustic set.
Yes, it was the last of the Neil Young's Bridge School benefit concerts. I mean,
that's right. That was like the last year, second to last, or something.
I think it was the last, because they were planning another one, but then it didn't happen or something. But
right.
And I remember they did Hardwired, but they couldn't. It wasn't made for acoustic, and they had to stop and start it over.
Trying to figure it out. Yeah, they were trying to figure out as they're going along.
Yeah.
It was funny to watch them kind of struggle with that, because here they are, rock and roll superstars, and they're like, okay, how does this acoustic guitar work? Okay.
Yeah.
So
you got one more story for us, Jens.
I got one more story. So let me just talk briefly about the great Bob Dylan. He stopped his shows back in 2019, but now has announced the first leg, I guess, of his Rough and Rowdy Ways world tour. So, I mean, this article says announces US leg, but I don't really believe he's announced the entire US leg, because when you take a look at these dates, it's all East Coast stuff.
You think there's going to be more? You're hoping for more.
So I'm thinking it's all East Coast stuff for this year, and then I'm hoping that first quarter next year maybe it's going to be West Coast stuff. So let me give you the specifics. And we had tickets to that. My wife and I, we had tickets to see Dylan at, I think, Berkeley, whatever that place is called, Bowl.
Yeah, and where you were tasked with bringing content back for the pod, and how'd you do?
Yeah, that was a different show.
Okay.
That was the one in Houston, yeah, where I put the tape recorder under my ball sack.
It was a tape recorder too, was it? Yeah.
It was a tape recorder. It was not an iPhone that was recording live music. It was a tape recorder that was under my balls with the microphone like shoved. You're like, this will be good.
This is the best spot to get the best audio.
Everything sounds muffled and smells sweaty. This is basically what the end result was. So Dylan is hitting the road this November for a string of 21 North American headline states. The run
states or dates?
What?
Are they states or dates?
Dates. 21 North American headline date. Did I say states? Dates.
I think you said states, but it's great. Carry on.
Just ignore me.
I should just let you go.
let my stream of nonsense continue. Okay, so the run will kick off in Milwaukee on Tuesday, November the 2nd, wrapping up a month later in Washington, D.C. Okay, so this is only going to last about a month. Included in the itinerary is a 5-show stint in New York, with 3 dates set for New York City and 2 in Port Chester. And that's not too unusual. He usually spends, multiple days in New York City. So, what can I say about this? The shows were announced as the first leg of a world tour in support of Dylan's 39th studio album. That's supposed to go on and on and on and on until 2024.
Oh my God.
Assuming he's still going to be alive by then.
I know, this is making a lot of assumptions, isn't it?
It is. It'll be the first time he's played to a live audience. Yeah, we already said that. But I think Dylan is just kind of, he loves to perform live. And if he lives to be, 100 or 150, he'll keep on doing this. He'll be in a wheelchair or he'll be in his coffin, singing. And as the years go on, he's able to do less and less and less. You don't really see him do the guitar much. He's mostly either singing or, on the keyboard. But he and his band bring it. I mean, that's some serious shit that you see on stage. And I mean, like the critics say, he's performed some of his best music of his best concerts live, of his entire life in the latter part of his life. So yeah, definitely worth seeing.
All right, well, good stuff from the Dylan camp. And Jens, that takes us to our final story, which of course has to do with the one, the only Mr. Dave Grohl, right?
Dave Grohl.
Yes, and times are exciting for Dave Grohl because he has a first that's happening right now for him, which he's always doing something new. But
talking about his autobiography.
I am. It's more of a memoir. I don't know that you could call it an autobiography. Okay. But yeah, he's about to put out his memoir called The Storyteller. A bunch of stories from life lived hard, he's rocked hard. That's coming out, but this story was pretty interesting to me. So he helped a Seattle bass player who stopped a gunman to return to the stage. What? Yeah, you're about to get some details here, but you'll enjoy this. So at a sold-out show Sunday night, bass player Darren Wall took to the stage for the first time since he was shot. And in early September, his band Greyhawk was playing a show in Boise, Idaho, when a man with a gun tried to enter the venue. Wall pushed the man to the ground and was shot in the leg. police arrested the shooter, identified as 26-year-old Ethan Berg. Wall has been resting since the shooting. The bullet is still inside his leg. Yeah, and Wall admitted he was nervous and excited for Sunday night's show at El Corazon. After 3 weeks off, his band was ready to perform again. They didn't wait very long, did they? 3 weeks. You're like, a shot. I'm good. Let's go. Come on, we got to rock, motherfuckers, right? We got to do this.
I have questions. I've got questions. Like, why is it still in there?
It's just, he just wanted to keep it as a souvenir in his body. And so this show is going down in rock and roll history, thanks to Jens. This is where you're going to enjoy this. Thanks to a throne that was used by only a few rock stars who've needed a little help, right?
I was wondering where the tie-in was. Now it all makes sense. So rock stars who get injured
get to
are recipients of the throne. Yes.
Yes. There are 3 people who have used it, said Wall. There's Dave Grohl, Axl Rose, who we talked about before in Guns N' Roses, and him. He's the 3rd heir of this throne. For those who don't know, this throne goes back to, this is Dave Grohl's throne. He used it to rock out while sitting after breaking his leg during a show in 2015. That didn't stop him. He made this badass guitar rock throne that looks like Game of Thrones sort of thing, but Dave Grohl style. And after he was done with it, Axl Rose decided he'd injure himself, and it was passed on to Axl Rose, right? So,
right.
And so
I'm trying to remember what it looks like. I mean, it hasn't changed at all, right? I'm assuming it's still the same throne with the guitar handles pointing up, kind of like swords.
Yep. So this is how it came about, Jens, because you're like, who's this band? What is going on? Well, this guy Wall, he made a comment about hoping to use the throne in a radio program. Social media got the attention of the Foo Fighters management, and Dave Grohl, he called me from the MTV VMA Awards, and Grohl said he'd ship the throne to him at his expense. Dave Grohl paid to ship this to this guy.
Holy shit.
And the throne allowed Wall to rest his leg while playing. One change needed to be made to the chair before it was shipped because Wall was shot in his left leg while the chair was built for Grohl, who broke his right leg. Rev Taylor, the band's lead singer, believes the throne is a deserved honor. What he did in Boise was absolutely in character and absolutely an extension of how he lives his day-to-day life. Dave motherfucking Grohl. Every week I tell you, yes, every week, right?
Incredible.
This is how it goes. Like, what is this, right? Seriously.
I mean, like, who does that, right? Dave Grohl does that. And it's exciting. He brings it every single time.
Every single time. And, and as long as he keeps bringing it, we'll keep bringing the Dave Grohl stories to the program, because this is the heartbeat of this program is Dave Grohl stories. We love it.
You know what? I would just love to be like in Dave Grohl's mind, for an evening where he's, chilling on the couch or whatever he does, after his day. And what does he do? Like, does he thumb through the internet just looking for rock stars who've injured themselves because he sees his throne collecting dust? The tradition needs to continue. Who's the next recipient?
It's too easy. It's too easy because it's always something different with Dave Grohl, and it's always something amazing, right? Like even bringing Nandy on stage, to the 11-year-old badass rock drummer who challenged him to a battle, which he on stage at the LA's Forum, admitted that Nandy outdid him, and he compared Nandy. He's like, we've had Beatles, we've rocked with Stones. None of that compares to this girl, as he's introducing her. What a badass, right? I mean, It's just incredible. And I look forward to reading his memoir as it comes out and hearing many more of these stories, some of which I'm sure we'll bring to the program in the coming weeks. So
totally.
That's our show for today, Jens. Next time on the program, we have a guest who is on for the 3rd time, but brings awesome stories as well. And this is Joe Louis Walker. He has a new album that's coming out in November called Eclectic Electric. And has some cool covers on it, I'll tell you.
Nice. New content from Mr. Walker.
Yeah, 8-minute version of Hotel California, which is pretty awesome.
Whoa, no kidding.
Yes. Werewolves of London, All She Wants to Do Is Dance. You know, I won't spoil it all.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He's doing Werewolves of London?
He is, yes.
Please tell me he's going to be wearing his alligator boots.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, so when we interviewed him in person at Yoshi's a handful of years ago, he was wearing these awesome alligator boots, and we should have gotten a picture of him. But
those were smoking, man.
But you were very enamored by him, and still are to this day. So
totally.
Yes. So that's our show. For all of us here at Concert Pipeline, that's Jen Schiffel.
And that is Steve Jones.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.